would leave us with an x minus 1. Denominator would factor into what?
X plus 4, x minus 3.
Does anything cancel? Why do I ask that question?
That would be a whole.
Right. It would make a hole in our graph if it did. All right. So then x-intercepts. Where do you look for your x-intercepts? Numerator. What makes 3x equal 0?
0.
And what makes x minus 1 equal 0?
1.
Y-intercept. How do we find that?
Set it equal to 0.
Put all the x's equal 0. So if you put 0 in for all of your x's, you get 0 over negative 12, which is 0. Vertical asymptote. Where do we look for that? Denominator. What makes x plus 4 equal 0? And x minus 3, positive 3. Those have to be equations because they are lines. I've said it over and over and over again, but I know yesterday I was still reminding people when I was looking at your papers. So make sure you're giving me the equation. Horizontal or oblique is based on the degree. What's the degree at the top?
2.
Bottom?
2.
If it's same degree on top and bottom, that means it is horizontal. And to find it, we divide the leading coefficients. So 3 over 1 plus 2 would be 3. Alright, so we plot this. The x-axis at 0 and 1, y-axis at 0. Vertical at negative 4, positive 3. How many sections of this graph will we end up with? 3. So it exists on every side. Okay, so then you graph it. I always told you, go back to the original. Either use that fraction feature to put it in, or you have to put parentheses around the numerator and parentheses around the denominator and plug it in order to get it to work correctly. When I look at this, is it just flat across the x-axis here? No. It's hitting this point, going up slightly, and hitting that one. If you just made it flat, that would mean every point in between 0 and 1 was an x-intercept, which was not the case. So make sure you're careful on your graphs there. So our graph looks something like this. All right. Is that one okay? Let's try this one. Okay, start by factoring. Double check, do we have a GCF that we could pull out? No, but if it were like 2x squared minus 10x plus 2, you'd want to take out the 2 before you did slip and slide. So we have to do our slip and slide here. So we're factoring the x minus 4x minus 1 divide by 2. So we get x minus 2, 2x minus 1. What's the denominator factor into? What happens?
Whole +2.
So that cancels, leaving us with this fraction. But what that means is there is a whole at, so you look, what makes x minus 2 0, which is positive 2. To get the y value, you plug 2 into the fraction that's left. So if we do that, we would get 4 minus 1, so 3 over 4.
Wait, how do you get that, the y?
You put the x value into the fraction that's left.
Okay.
All right, x-intercept. So looking at our reduced fraction, what makes the top 0? Y-intercept. If we plug in 0 for all of our x's, we get if we did it here, we'd have negative 1 over 2. If we did it here, we'd have 2 over negative 4, but either way it reduces to negative 1/2. Alright. Vertical asymptote. X equals, what makes the bottom 0? Negative 2. Horizontal or oblique. Let's look back. The original, the degree of the top is, and the bottom, if it's same degree, we divide those leading coefficients. So 2x squared over 1x squared. So 2 over 1 is 2. So if I look at my graph, get the x-axis at positive 1/2, y-axis at negative 1/2, vertical asymptote at negative 2, horizontal asymptote at positive 2. We have a hole at positive 2 3/4. So we draw that as an open circle. So now we need to graph back to the original. And again, either put it in using the fraction feature or add parentheses around the numerator and denominator. So if we look at that, this section is up here. This section we have to go through all of these points. Make sure when you're doing that you don't accidentally fill in this point. So it should clearly remain an open circle. Again, the graph doesn't show that open circle, so you're not going to see it on your graphing calculator. If you went into like your table feature, then you would see that the x is undefined there. So you can see it if you go in the right spot, but not from the graph itself. You have to find it. You guys think you can do one? We get x plus 4 over, or times x minus 3 over x minus 3, x plus 2. So the x minus 3's cancel. So our reduced version is x plus 4 over x plus 2. But because that canceled, and it looked like most of you had that when I walked around, what makes x minus 3 equal 0?
3.
To get the y, you plug 3 into what's left. So that gives you 7 over 5. Then the x-intercept, what makes the top 0? Y-intercept, what makes the bottom, or sorry, what do you get when you put in 0 for all of your x's?
2.
Okay. Vertical asymptote, what makes the bottom 0?
X equals -2.
Horizontal or oblique, what's the degree of the top?
2.
Bottom?
2.
So 1x squared over 1x squared, so 1 over 1 is... So we get the x-axis, -4, y-axis +2, vertical at -2, horizontal at 1. Okay, then you use your graphing calculator, plug in the original, and don't forget to plot your hole on that when you do. So the hole, the open circle was at 3/7, which is like 1.4. So that should look something like that. We get it? Why don't we, I think actually you guys did pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and stop